Hi guys, welcome back to Relatable Nerds. Kyra here, and I am so excited today because I just received a very special shipment all the way from Northern California from Naked Wines. I didn't even need to leave my house to get these 6 incredible wines. These wines arrived perfectly timed right before the Oscars that are premiering on Sunday, March 2nd. I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of the wines I've received and pair them with some of my favorite Oscar picks for 2025. Let's get into it. Naked Wines delivers hand-picked wines from independent winemakers right to your door. I had never even heard some of these incredibly talented winemakers for my first shipment, and I just love to support small businesses whenever I can. So I think this is so cool because a curated box of wines, there's wine in there for everybody. Each bottle brings something different. Whether you're into casual wine tasting, wanting to explore new wineries, or even just having a fresh and new selection that you do not get in your area, Naked Wines is perfect for all occasions. Now let's get into some wine. I was sent 6 different kinds of wine, varying from red to white to even sparkling. I've curated some of my favorite Oscar nominees this year, along with some of the wine, whether it was focusing on the plot of the movie, what I think the characters would be drinking in the film, or just something to enjoy while you're watching the movie. You guys know that Bob Dylan was a wine enthusiast? He's collaborated with winemakers on several different wines. He even named one of his own songs after his personal favorite white wine, Tangled Up in Blue Nun. A Complete Unknown is up for several Oscars this year, and it is the story of Bob Dylan, different various parts throughout his life. And I just know that Bob would be a fan of this Zinfandel from Montse Reece. It was aged in a barrel for a year, which gives it this dark and velvety finish, just like Bob Dylan's style. Knowing that Bob Dylan was a wine fan himself, I think is really, really cool. And I think this would be the perfect pairing to watch with A Complete Unknown. And I also think Bob would love to sip a glass of this. All right, next up, one of my favorite movies of 2024, we meet Anora, or Annie, who is a young and ambitious nightlife worker in Manhattan, living the fast life. I think Anora would definitely enjoy a glass of the sparkling Penelope Blanc de Blanc. It has a bubbly texture, of course, because it is a sparkling, with a fresh and light finish that just elevates the elegance of this wine. It's vibrant and zesty, just like the Oscar-nominated film Anora, which was such a breath of fresh air this past year. I hope they take home an Oscar this year, and I really think Anora would enjoy this wine too. Now, while this next wine may not be green, it does have some notes of melon and fresh fruit that just remind me of a sunny afternoon. And what could possibly make a sunny afternoon better? Putting on the Oscar-nominated movie that completely stole our hearts last year, Wicked, and pouring a glass of this Jacqueline Bahue Sauvignon Blanc. This is just such a beautiful and elegant bottle. Simple yet sophisticated. Wine is just an easy sipper. It's something to enjoy. It's light and refreshing. I'm almost positive that Galinda has this bottle in her inventory. She would definitely be enjoying this wine. Now to shift gears and get into a darker red wine. One that would only be appropriate for an appetite for horror. I simply cannot get the image out of my head of Nosferatu enjoying a glass of this whiskey barrel Cabernet Sauvignon from Franc Dusak. This is such a beautiful and elegant bottle. It's so dark in color. It's a velvety red wine. It has more of a sultry and fierce body to it, something a little bit heavier than the wines that we previously have discussed. I personally love red wine. Cabernet Sauvignon is one of my favorites, so I cannot wait to get in this. This wine is also great to age as well. 2 years if you can wait that long, but I don't think I can wait that long. I think Nosferatu would absolutely love this wine. I think it would be such a perfect pairing to watch the film and have a glass of red as well, because it has a very dark undertone, just like this wine. I love a good horror movie. I think it's so exciting that there are multiple horror movies nominated this year for the Oscars. I feel like they do not get enough traction, enough attention, or the actors in these horror films get noticed enough for their hard work. You're often dedicating your entire physical body to these roles. This movie in particular, Lily Rose Depp, her acting was superb and phenomenal, and you could just tell she gave everything to this role, and she quite honestly made the movie for me. Her and Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu was a sight to be seen. You guys definitely need to catch this movie at least once. It is a long one though, and you would probably need a glass of this Franc Dusak Cabernet Sauvignon to accompany it, just to enhance the experience a little bit more. I hope Nosferatu takes home an Oscar this weekend. All right, you guys, we've made it to the last two wines. I've also saved these last two wines for two of my favorite films that premiered last year. They're two entirely different genres of films, couldn't be any more different than the other, but nonetheless, they were just so captivating. This next wine is a Pinot Noir from Parish. Pinot Noir is one of my absolute favorite styles of wine. It's lush and ripe, young but savvy, just like everything fading actress Elizabeth Sparkle is trying to become in The Substance. The Substance was unlike anything I've ever seen before. It was absolutely riveting and an adrenaline rush from front to back, and I enjoyed every single second of it. It was horrifying while also somewhat relatable to a lot of women who are just caring about their physical appearance, trying to stay relevant. Demi Moore absolutely nailed this role, as well as Margaret Qualley. And I think because of the same descriptions of this wine being young and savvy, it would go perfect with Elizabeth Sparkle, and it would also match her young and cool alter ego, Sue, that is played by Margaret Qualley. And if you happen to catch the last 10 minutes of that movie, red is definitely a prominent color. So I'm definitely excited to try this one. I really hope they take home an Oscar. I think it would be such a special moment for Demi Moore, and she absolutely deserves all of the accolades as well as everybody that was a part of this film. I actually can't believe this movie I'm about to discuss came out this past year. It feels like it's been forever ago. It's almost a year to the month. Dune Part 2. Now, this is one of my favorite book series of all time. To see this come to life by the absolutely incredible Denis Villeneuve. We're so lucky to be living in the same time as him, to see all of his art and everything he created with bringing the world of Dune to real life. From the vast landscapes that never seem to end, to the soul-chilling soundtrack, to the enticing characters that we've grown to love or even despise, every scene in Dune Part 2 is better than the last. Now, this wine is the exposed Chardonnay, and in the light it almost kind of has the same color gradient as one would experience on the sand planet of Arrakis. Now, if you weren't familiar with the planet of Arrakis, it is a barren dune, a sand dune pretty much. It's just a sand planet. There's a lot of sun, not a lot of greenery. There's almost no water. It's very, very barren. But this wine, just because of its gradient, just because of the style of the bottle as well, I mean, this image here kind of could be interpreted as one of these sand dunes. I almost think a sandworm is going to pop out of this image. It also greatly resembles where all of the Harkonnens are from and where they reside. Kind of this world that lacks any color. It's almost like a perfect match for that. That's why I think the Chardonnay would be a perfect pairing with Dune Part 2. One day, maybe they'll have enough grapes and fruit to make their own wine. Who knows? That was my 6 curated wines from Naked Wines. I'm so incredibly grateful to be working with them on this collab. Cannot wait to try, especially on Oscar Sunday. I'm going to put a link in the descriptions that will get you a special discount on your first order of Naked Wines. Let me know in the comments which wine you're most excited to try.